Here we go. Thank you so much for being here. Catherine is here too. I just started on time. Thank you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to be here with you today and start our journey, our 21 journey, which is just as scary for me as some of other participants. 21 days is a long time, but each session is going to be recorded, so you guys can just go back and watch the recording if you missed the 5 o'clock live show. So my name is Gabriella, and I am going to be your guide in here in physical reality, but I am hoping that Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, is really going to guide us. I placed on our little altar, the Lord Krishna. We have this little statue that Amal brought back from India and made out of the mud from the Ganges River. And also I have Krishna's flute in here, and I have Ganesha as well, because Ganesha is supposed to be called in at the beginning of every journey, because Ganesha is representing the removal of the obstacles from the way of the project, and this is a project, this is a journey for us. And just don't get distracted by them being here as a statue. They are all representing some inner qualities inside of us. So, for example, Krishna is representing the inner guidance or teacher inside of us, and Ganesha is representing our strength or our ability to remove obstacles, to think of ways how we can do things differently and move forward without having the obstacles in our way. So my hope for us at the end of the 21-day challenge, you will understand, we will all have a better understanding what is the kind of yoga that Krishna was teaching in the Bhagavad Gita, and we will be able to engage with it as well. Some of you might ask, how is this yoga practicing when we're not doing any asanas? Common knowledge right now is that yoga is getting ourselves into these poses, but we will see that Krishna is going to introduce us a kind of yoga that we can practice 24/7. It's called Yoga of Awareness, Buddhi Yoga, and we're going to learn all about that. So the Bhagavad Gita is one of the most important texts that emerged from India, a fundamental book about yoga along Patanjali Yoga Sutras. You probably might, some of you might know about the Yoga Sutras already. And the Bhagavad Gita is dealing with life issues like life challenges, surrendering, skillfulness in action, what's the right decision to make. So it's most relevant today. And why the Yoga Sutras are really quite dry text, the Bhagavad Gita is a mythological text, so there is a story behind it, which I'm going to tell you in a bit. I just wanted to first of all share that with you, that I'm going to be using my teacher's translation of the Bhagavad Gita. This is his little book. You don't have to have this. And this is a book that is placed in the middle of the big epic, the Mahabharata. And the Mahabharata is such a huge epic that it's 8 times bigger than Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey together. So it's, some says it's not even a series of books, but a whole library. It's huge. So I just wanted to introduce the story before the Bhagavad Gita starts in the Mahabharata, so we will have a little more context and understanding of the characters. So I prepared a slideshow for you. So welcome, 21-day yoga channel studying the Bhagavad Gita. And here's the battle scene. So as you can see on this picture, this Bhagavad Gita takes place in the middle of a battle. And just a little snippet of it, I'm going to go into the details a little bit more, but for now I just wanted to say that this battle representing the battlefield of our life. Battle may be not the right word. We can think of it as a struggle within ourselves. And although these pictures, these characters, and all the war scenery are presented us as a visual, but everything is within us. So Krishna, the little figure standing next to the chariot, representing our inner teacher, and Arjuna is representing us. So the play is Arjuna is having a crisis in here. He doesn't know what the right action is to take, so he turns to Krishna and asks him to teach him. So Arjuna keep asking questions for us. He's standing in for us or kneeling in on the picture for us and asking the divine reality, a higher version of ourselves or deeper version of ourselves represented by Krishna, to please teach him how to act. So in here again, the Mahabharata is a great epic of the Bharata dynasty. That's the literal translation. Maha means great, and the Bharata is regarding the Bharat dynasty. That's the big picture. And in the middle, 8th book is at the beginning of 8th book is the Bhagavad Gita. Mahabharata is 18 books, and Bhagavad Gita is at the beginning of the 8th book. So these are our two main characters: Arjuna, who is kneeling and asking Krishna to teach him, and Krishna, who is standing. And the plot is really thickens when Arjuna is having a crisis of conscience. He doesn't know what to do, having a crisis of dharma. And we're gonna unpack this word. Just initially I wanted to mention here that dharma is meaning the responsibility to take the right action. Dharma has many meanings, and it's depending on what kind of context is it in. That determines what is the right meaning. All right. So here we go. Here is our Bhishma, and I forgot to mention this, that as I'm introducing the backstory of the Bhagavad Gita, it's quite an intricate story, but for now I just want you to relax and listen and just take in the story. You don't have to remember any of the names or not even what happens in here. Just relax into the story. Some parts of the story might catch your attention more than others, so just take a mental note of it and maybe just contemplate on those details a little bit after I told you the story. So, long time ago, when Bhishma was a young prince, he made a huge sacrifice for his father, the king who wanted to remarry. See, his mother passed away, and king, his father, fallen in love with a beautiful prince, and a beautiful princess, and wanted to remarry. But the princess's father said he can only marry the princess if her descendants going to inherit the throne. And because Bhishma was the firstborn, he would have inherited the throne, so he made this great sacrifice that he's never ever gonna be married and not gonna father any sons, any children. So because of this lifelong vow of celibacy, Bhishma became known as the one with the terrible vow. So here is the queen to be, very beautiful young lady, Satyavati. So when they married, she gave birth to 2 sons, bringing a lot of joy to the palace. And they grew up happily, and when they came of age, they married 2 beautiful princesses. However, they had to go to battle before they were able to father any children, and unfortunately died. So here are our 2 princesses. And interestingly enough, during those times, if a royal family faced a situation like this, where the princess's husband died before they had children, the custom was that they could spend the night with a pure-hearted sage, Brahmana, a man who would not ordinarily engage in such an encounters for reproduction, but sacrificed himself to engage in such an act in this case. And once again, very interestingly, the queen knew Bhagavan Vyasa or Veda Vyasa, who wrote the Mahabharata. So this is our author, this sage, Veda Vyasa or Bhagavan Vyasa. He wrote the Mahabharata, and he included himself in the Mahabharata as a character. And here he is with Ganesha, and Ganesha is the one who actually wrote down the Mahabharata. Vyasa just taught him what to write down. Very interesting, isn't it? So the queen asked Vyasa to come to the palace, and when he arrived, he updated him on the situation. What happened that the 2 princes passed away in a battle, and she requested his help. So although Vyasa had been meditating in the forest for many, many years and was initially reluctant, he understood that it was his duty to help produce an heir. So he agreed. Next, the queen informed the older princes that a great sage, Vyasa, would visit him during the night, and it was her royal duty to receive him. Well, Vyasa was not exactly the princess type. He was much older, as you can see, and his skin was weathered from living in the forest, and also his overall demeanor was very rough, much more rougher than the men the princesses used to be around in the royal court. So when Vyasa entered her chamber, the princess was so shocked by his appearance that he closed her eyes, and she kept her eyes closed during the entire encounter, during the entire night. So in the morning, when the queen asked Vyasa if the night had been successful, he replied, he said, "Yes, it was indeed successful. You will have a grandson." But because she kept her eyes closed the whole time, the child will be blind. As you can imagine, the queen was not very happy with this news and asked Vyasa to visit the other princess as well. Vyasa was ready to go back to the forest hermitage, but understanding his duty, he reluctantly agreed. So before the nightfall, the queen once again asked the younger princess to come and had a talk with her and instructed her to fulfill her duty with ease, gracefully. However, the princess, having heard about Vyasa's unsettling appearance and the ordeal with the older princess, was far from being at ease. So, by her attendant, a young woman who was similar in age and looks to the princess, helped her to prepare her for the night. The servant girl noticed that the princess is in a deep distress, and she asked if there is anything that she could do to soothe the princess's anxieties. Well, suddenly, the princess had the idea to swap places, believing that Vyasa wouldn't detect the switch in the darkness. The attendant agreed, and they formulated a plan to take each other's place for the night. The servant girl, adorned in the princess finery, felt even a thrill at the prospect that she's gonna be able to spend the night with a wise man like Vyasa. And the princess, dressed in ordinary clothes, finally found some peace and ease. So they made the room very dark, thinking that Vyasa wouldn't notice the switch. Little did they know that Vyasa had clairvoyance, but he still did what he was there to do, as it was not his place to interfere. In the morning, when the queen asked him again about the outcome of the night, Vyasa said, "The night went very well. Actually, this princess was very willing and actually enjoyed fulfilling her duty. You're gonna have a beautiful grandson, and he will be also very wise." And then he left. The queen started to get very suspicious when she heard that the night had been fun, as she knew that the second princess was even shyer than the first one. So she called the princess into her chamber and asked her what happened. Well, the princess, under the queen's rigorous gaze, broke down and admitted the switch. The queen quickly sent after Vyasa and asked him to please do it one more time, his duty, because it wasn't actually the princess who he spent the night with. So Vyasa reluctantly again agreed to fulfill his duty one more, and the queen really gave very detailed and rigorous instruction to the princess on how she needed to behave to conceive finally a suitable heir to the throne. And the princess did her best. However, the night was still a very frightening experience for her. In the morning, when the queen asked Vyasa about the night, Vyasa said, "She will have a boy, and he will be a good man." But she was so frightened, she looked like a ghost. So the boy will be born pale. However, he will be healthy and will be a just king. And with that, Vyasa finally left for good. The queen, as you can imagine, was not 100% satisfied with this news, but a pale king was better than a blind king, and there was nothing else she could do. So that was it. And in 9 months, 3 beautiful baby boys were born. So here we are. The one on the left, Dhritarashtra, is the firstborn, and he is indeed blind. He was born blind. And the second son, Pandu, on the right, he had very skin. And these two characters, Dhritarashtra and Pandu, gonna form the two armies that you could see at the beginning of the slideshow. And they represent the two families that are gonna fight against each other, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. So the Kauravas, led by Dhritarashtra, the blind king, are kind of the bad guys. And the Pandavas gonna be led by Arjuna. They are kind of the good guys. But again, they are all inside of us, these characters. Sometimes we have a tendency to be a little nasty, if you will. We have qualities inside of us that the Kaurava, the villain side had, like, anger, greed, revenge. Sometimes we have those qualities coming up from within. And Pandavas, and led by Arjuna, they are the one who are representing the higher qualities. This is why Arjuna is actually connected with Krishna, and were able to ask him to teach him. He had a little bit more open-mindedness. That's the better side of us. So I'm actually going to stop here. So these are the two other main characters. I'm gonna stop the slide share. And when we come back tomorrow, I'm gonna continue the story and get to the point when the battle is actually gonna take place already. I thought I'm gonna divide this in 2 parts. We don't have to rush. We might as well have fun with going into the details a little bit more to get a flavor of the characters and the intricacy of the story. My teacher is big on not be against of anything. As you can see, I try to convey this that yes, there are two sides. There are the villains and the good guys, but it's inside of us both, right? I can't deny it that I get angry sometimes, I get bitchy sometimes. My husband can tell you that. But what can I do? I am only human. So are you, I hope. So I'm gonna stop the recording here, and